Have a roll call, please.
For the Board of Apportionment and Taxation, Chairman Cassetti.
Present.
Mr. Danielka. Mr. Justilka. Mr. Lamone.
Present.
Mr. McTighe.
Present.
Mr. Capson.
Present.
Mr. Smearson. For the Board of Aldermen, Alderman King.
Present.
Alderman Stowe. Alderman Schiff. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Cassetti.
Here.
Alderman Phillips.
Here.
Alderman Dempsey.
Here.
Alderman Kaslitis.
Here.
Alderman Yeoman.
Here.
Alderman Rivers.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Short.
Here.
Alderman Blackwell. Alderman Toledo.
Here. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, the Mayor's presentation of the 2019-2020 budget of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen and the Ansonia Board of Apportionment and Taxation. Mayor Cassetti, please.
Vaccaro, members of the Board of Aldermen, Board of Apportionment and Taxation, and residents of the great city of Ansonia. Tonight, I am setting forth my proposal for the 2019-2020 budget. This year has been particularly challenging, given rapidly changing projections on everything from state aid to health insurance costs. And I thank you all so much for your patience as my staff and I work to craft the most responsible budget possible for your consideration, based on the best information available. I've often said that budgeting is the single most important task we perform as elected officials. It is our job to balance the needs of municipal departments and services with our residents' ability to afford them. And you know firsthand that there are never any easy answers. That's certainly true in this year's budget. For years, I've also been very clear on the basic principle. The tax rate in Ansonia should be as low as possible without sacrificing vital services. And for the past 5 years, I have defied gravity here in Connecticut and avoided any increase in the mill rate. In fact, we have notched the tax rate down by over 3% since fiscal year 2014, which is simply unprecedented. All things equal, Ansonia taxpayers have paid the lowest tax rate possible for the past 5 years, while still providing support for important public services like education and infrastructure improvements. And for those keeping track, you know that this administration will go to hell and back to protect our taxpayers' dollars, whether it's politically expedient or not. So tonight, I am asking for your trust when I say that my proposed budget for the 2020 fiscal year once again represents the lowest tax rate possible, while still responsibly supporting the services our residents depend upon and bolstering our city's financial health. Let's skip straight to the bottom line. The proposed budget represents a 3.15% decrease in year-to-year city-side spending and a 3% increase in city funding for the Board of Education. It reduces our reliance on the undesignated fund balance by 47%, leaving a healthy 7.1% in reserves. My proposal features some painful cuts to city administration, including givebacks by myself and administrative staff, but includes no drastic cuts to services or closed departments like the library and transfer station. And it calls for a modest mill rate increase of 0.48 mils. That would equate to an additional $72 in taxes for the average Ansonia household. That's on a house assessed at $150,000. Now, if we were in another town, a mill rate increase of less than $0.5 might be seen as tax stabilization. And of course, this increase would still put the tax rate 3.91% lower than it was when I took office nearly 6 years ago. An overall reduction of 1.54 mils since 2014. But I think you know me better by now. The decision to propose an increase, however slight, was not my first choice. And I am not going to lie, it kept me up at night. I mean, it's election year, right? However, several factors have led me to believe this is truly the responsible decision this year, politics aside. First, it appears that the state of Connecticut will not be increasing the city's portion of the education cost sharing grant in Ansonia, as we hope. The city portion of the ECS grant has been flatlined for the past 12 years. And despite many promises that we would start seeing increases, the city's portion of the ECS funding will remain flat again this year. Actually, projections seem to show it will be about $30 less. I am encouraged that the state will be increasing the Alliance District portion of the ECS grant to Ansonia schools by $600,000. That's a great thing. However, there is an important difference between the Alliance District and city portions of the ECS. Alliance grant goes directly to the schools to pay for pre-approved programs. The city's ECS funds go to the city to alleviate our taxpayers' burden of shouldering education costs. Therefore, the Alliance grant increase, while a positive development, will not help Ansonia shoulder the year-to-year costs of education, and it will not help us to afford further increases to our schools. That said, I am extremely proud of our administration's support of education in our school system. Over the past 5 years, we have increased the Board of Education budget by over $4 million, despite our ECS funding remaining flat, and that was a challenge. And this year, I am proposed to increase it another $130,000. Your support has fundamentally changed the picture when it comes to supporting education in Ansonia. When I took office in 2013, education was 49.9% of the city budget, and that does not include supplemental education grants. That's all taxpayer money. Well, today, the tables have turned. In my proposal, education now consists of 57% of the total city budget. The facts are clear. Ansonia is doing all it can to responsibly support education, and all of this funding is permanent. A baseline in taxpayer funding that will only increase from here, given Connecticut's minimum funding laws. But this support comes with a cost. We cannot continue to provide increasing support to education and other vital services without additional revenue, spending cuts, or in this case, both. That leads me to the second big consideration in this budget year, the city's fund balance. For 5 years, we have responsibly utilized an overfunding reserve to keep taxes down while also funding services. This strategy provided a tremendous benefit to taxpayers over the past 5 years, especially when it came to lessening the blow of the last property reevaluation. Well, the time has come to level off our use of the fund balance, to maintain a healthy level of financial reserves going forward. While this may come with a slight cost this year, it will reap benefits in the future, especially when it comes to maintaining the city's excellent AA bond rating and borrowing rate. And with this budget, the city's fund balance will be at 7.1% of its overall reserves, putting us in a strong position compared to many of our municipal counterparts. It's something residents should be proud of. Now remember, I said there were never easy answers. At the same time, I want to report a silver lining with this budget, that and future budgets to come. First, our grand list continues to rise. We certified a grand list of $991 million, which represents a 0.92% increase from last year. That adds to a $98 million or 11% total increase since 2014. As our commercial base continues to rise, so will our ability to offset further increases. And with projects taking off all over Ansonia, the trend is poised to continue. Second, our tax collection rate is rising. Using a mix of new collection techniques and lien sales, we are capitalizing on our ability to collect revenue owed to the city. This is a great sign for the future. Finally, we are on the brink of exploring new cost savings and service enhancing opportunities with our municipal neighbors. And this is no pie in the sky dream. The reality of that valley communities are stronger together than apart. The goal is not just to lower the tax burden, but also to expand and strengthen what we provide for our residents, their families, and children. And this July, we will start the effort in earnest. That is why I am looking for a subcommittee of aldermen and Board of Apportionment and Taxation members to begin the conversation. The idea is to generate real results in the 2019-2020 budget year. The time has come for shared services. Now I will turn the budget over to you for review and discussion. I will make my staff available to you at your first budget meeting next week, and they will be at your disposal through the end of the budget process. I also look forward to hearing from the public in the first public hearing, which I understand will take place next week. I leave you with this snapshot of the last 6 years, which includes my proposed budget, and I truly believe these are the results you and the residents of the great city should be proud of. Since fiscal year 2014, citywide spending will have decreased 13.5%, or just under $3.8 million. City spending on education will have increased 15%, or just about $4.2 million. Our grand list has grown 11%. And the tax rate will have dropped by 3.91%. Members of the Board of Aldermen and the Board of Apportionment and Taxation, I look forward to your work on this budget. And thank you for everything you do for the great city of Ansonia. Thank you, good night, and God bless the city of Ansonia.
Any question for Mayor Cassetti, gentlemen, from the Alderman? You have in your packet the meetings that are going to schedule with the Finance Committee, the Board of Aldermen, as well as the Board of Apportionment and Taxation. First meeting for that will be on Wednesday, June 12th at 6:30 p.m. Second meeting will be Thursday, June 13th at 6:30 p.m. in City Hall. Also, we have a budget open house meeting of the Board of Aldermen and vote to discuss the budget. That's Saturday, June 15th, 10 a.m. to noon at the Senior Center. Also, third meeting of the Alderman and Finance Committee and the Board of Enforcement and Taxation for review and revision will be Monday, June 17th, 6:30 p.m., City Hall. And the fourth meeting of the Automatic Finance Committee and vote, if needed, will be Wednesday, June 19th, 6:30. Final meeting of the Board of and vote to approve the city budget will be Thursday, June 20th, 6:30 at the Senior Center. So as you can see, we're going to be pretty busy for the next couple of weeks. Okay. Item 5, referendum fund transfers. Sheila O'Malley, are you in the house?
That's right here. Mr. President, before that, need a vote to adopt the schedule.
Oh, okay. Mr. Bilbao?
Second.
Any discussion, gentlemen? To adopt the schedule as read? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries.
Yeah. You got to get their vote.
I'll make a motion.
Chairman, say. Motion to approve. Second.
All.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Ms. O'Malley?
Yep.
Item
So,
number 5, referendum fund transfers.
yep, this is the old referendum. There are still some leftover money that we want to clean up in preparation for the new money coming on board. Anyway, there was a engineering bill for environmental for Peck schools, small number, I'm not sure, I think approximately $4,000 that needed to get paid when the demolition occurred. We had some environmental consultants out there because of the lead and asbestos. So we transferred what was left in the Greenway, because Riverwalk project, segment 8, which was completed, had a little money left over, want to transfer it over to Peck School and get that bill cleaned up, with your permission.
Need a motion for that tonight?
I do.
Mr. Rivers? Motion, second by Mr. Cassetti. Discussion, gentlemen? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, executive session. Mr. Marini?
Just need members of the Board of Aldermen.
Just the Board of Aldermen? Motion to executive session, second by Mr. Rivers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay,